What's it like to put your phone right in your eyes? How did mobile game consoles get this good and this controversial? And why did it take this long for folding phones to get folding accessories to go with them? I'm Mr. Mobile, and I don't know if I can answer all those questions, but I sure can give you some short reviews of each of these products in your Gadget Grab Bag for June 2026. If you're a subscriber, you might remember Even Realities as the company that blew me away a little over a year ago with a set of smart glasses called the G1. And the new G2 glasses, which Even loaned me back in November, impress in all the same ways. They're lightweight, stylish, well-built, and intentionally limited. There's still no camera nor any speakers. The star of the show is a floating digital dashboard, taking up about 27 degrees of your field of view with a waveguide-delivered binocular heads-up display. Think of it like a smartwatch, but in your eyes. You get time and date, weather, news headlines, and stocks if you want them, and notifications. All of it transmitted from the Android or iPhone in your pocket. To invoke the retro War Games green virtual display, you just look up for a moment, or you can set it to activate whenever you get an inbound message. There are microphones on the glasses for live language translation and to let you talk to the Even AI agent, if you're into that. Though you have to be content with reading its replies on the screen due to the lack of speakers.
Honestly, my favorite feature that uses the microphones is the teleprompter, which I'm using now. It advances the script in my eyes at exactly the rate at which I'm speaking, which is really cool.
The biggest upgrade here, besides the new IP65 dust and water rating, is the improved interface. While you can still awkwardly swipe and tap the little pods behind your ears, you also have the option of a ring with gesture controls, kind of like a wearable mouse. Trouble is, that's another device to remember to wear and pair and charge, and it costs an additional $225. That's on top of the $599 the glasses themselves will run you. I'd love to say it's worth it, because these are really compelling if you don't often have hands free and want to stay informed about whatever you're getting notifications about. But I think Even needs to sort out its software a little better. Even months into my testing, the app still has annoying quirks, and the initial pairing process, at least on Android, was pretty brutal as recently as May. It took a little over an hour to connect the glasses and keep them connected. Also, while the G2s are lighter, they're still a bit painful to wear for extended sessions, at least for me and at least one Redditor. So while they're technically impressive, and again, gorgeous, there's not quite enough return on inconvenience here for me to add these to my everyday carry. Not just yet. Now, I knew this wasn't going to make it into my EDC either, but I didn't care, because I buy anything that reminds me this much of the T-Mobile Sidekick. Sadly, this is not a resurrected hip top. It's called the ANBERNIC RG Rotate. Instead of Danger OS on a landscape display, it runs Android on a square one. And instead of a smartphone, it's a game console. From a hardware standpoint, the RG Rotate is a triumph, especially for the price. $87 gets you the plastic version, while $129 will upgrade you to an all-aluminum enclosure that definitely feels strong enough to serve as a crime deterrent.
Crime deterrent.
What?
Try and take my wallet.
Give your...
Both models give you a 3.5-inch IPS display at 720p, which rotates, get it, to reveal classic gamepad controls. Buttons stud the sides, too. Double shoulder keys per corner with extras in the box if you want taller triggers, along with volume, power, and a function key that toggles between Android 12's Quick-Step home screen and a custom launcher that acts as a front end for 29 different game emulators that come preloaded. Everything from NES to Sega Saturn to the Game Boy Advance the RG Rotate resembles. Of course, this being Android, you can load any emulator that'll run on the Unisoc T618 chipset. ANBERNIC has preloaded quite a few, and also included the baffling bonus of the Casio player for MP3s. Baffling because while Bluetooth is included, it's very spotty. And there's no headphone jack on this thing. Oh, and to add insult to injury, the sole rear-firing speaker is both tinny and trivially easy to block with a finger. But yeah, you can load up any software you want right from the preloaded Play Store.
Including messaging and VoIP apps. So as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can use it as a really bad Game Boy phone.
Talk Boy? No, that's something different. The thing I find most interesting about the RG Rotate is that you can buy it with a bundled memory card containing an insane number of vintage games. To be clear, I do not endorse this, and I will not provide a link to it because it is, according to every source I could find, hella illegal. Apparently, the only thing keeping ANBERNIC and companies like it from paying the price for this copyright infringement is the fact that they're based in China, which effectively insulates them from enforcement of intellectual property law. By contrast, YouTubers in other countries have proven to be somewhat less well protected in that regard, so I'd like to make clear that nowhere did the ANBERNIC website disclose that game ROMs would be included on the storage card the company bundled with the device. I didn't want them, and I'm not going to play them. I'd much rather play cartridges I already legitimately own. So let's move on to a console that's a bit less controversial. Oh, well, maybe not. Okay, product first. This is the Chromatic. And if you grew up with an original Game Boy like I did, this will fire all of your nostalgia neurons the minute you pick it up. It's got the same hand feel, except like the ANBERNIC, it's been augmented by aluminum, and it's offered in a canary color called Volt. That reminds you just how fun consumer tech used to be. This is a straight-up Game Boy reboot. Rather than running titles in emulation, it accepts physical Game Boy cartridges. And just like back in 1989, Tetris comes bundled in the box. It's powered by 4 AA batteries, and while its IPS display is color, it's intentionally underspec'd at 160 by 144. Producing a chunky, pixelated look that vibes perfectly with the rest of the hardware. Oh, and it should fend off scratches a lot better than most other consoles, if you spring for the sapphire cover glass for an extra hundo. Honestly, the Chromatic is a masterpiece. It brings a character and comfort to gaming that no emulated experience has matched for me. Despite imposing a big pocket penalty thanks to its metal build, and despite the fact that I have the choice of playing endless mobile games on my phone at any time, I've found myself reaching for the Chromatic far more often when I need to burn 15 minutes on the go. In addition to the newer titles ModRetro sent, I went out and rebought games I had as a kid, like Star Trek The Next Generation, which I poured hours into as a preteen, oblivious to the repetitive, uninspired, minimum viable product that I think it actually was. Sadly, it takes a similar blissful ignorance for me to enjoy the Chromatic as much as I did before I learned of its origins.
Look, an awful lot of products I cover are made by companies whose ethics are questionable at best. In fact, this channel is primarily hosted on a platform owned by one of those companies. That is kind of an inescapable reality of the work I do. But regardless, I've tried to make my videos as much as possible a refuge from those heavy discussions. Unfortunately, that becomes a lot more difficult when a product is made by a company whose founder also owns a weapons manufacturer. And if I had known that before I requested this review sample, thus committing myself to the coverage I planned, I never would have asked for it. I just, honestly, didn't do my homework.
That's as much as I want to say about it. If you want to read more, let me recommend Sean Hollister's piece on the Chromatic for The Verge, which is one of the finest consumer tech reviews I've ever read. And if you want something similar product-wise, I've heard great things about the Analog Pocket. And I would request that instead of prolonging the ModRetro discussion in the comments, let me know whether you'd like to see the Analog Pocket covered in this series. Thanks. Whew, I need a palate cleanser after all that. How about something inoffensive, like a Bluetooth mouse? This is called the Mobi Fold, and it's from Logitech, which showed it off alongside some other new products at a New York City event a few weeks back. Deployed, it bears a strong resemblance to the Microsoft Surface Arc mouse that's been in my bag for years. Basically a curved plank covered in soft touch and topped off by a trio of buttons and a gesture strip for scrolling. It even comes in a similar array of accessible colors, and it's priced about the same too. The difference becomes apparent when you stow it. Instead of flattening out into a thin board, the Mobi, folds into a puck about half the size of its full footprint. Sure, that doubles the thickness, but as any clamshell flip phone owner can tell you, that argument doesn't survive anywhere past the spec sheet. Folded up, the Mobi fits into many more pockets than when deployed. Oh, and also, like a clamshell flip phone, this mouse is kept closed by magnets, which means that you'll get the same unintentional bonus of being able to stick it to metal things, as you'll find on, say, the Moto Razr. The Mobi Fold can pair to 3 different Bluetooth devices, and I've run into no problems using it with my MacBook Pro, Galaxy Fold 7, or Galaxy Trifold. While Logitech's Keys to Go is not my favorite portable keyboard, I do appreciate that the Lilac of these review samples is a perfect match. And with an estimated 30 days of endurance from an onboard battery rechargeable via Type-C, I can't find much to complain about here. I'm a little concerned that the soft touch enclosure might start to show wear at the edges of the folding bellows after a while, but only time will tell. I intend to spend that time using this alongside my foldable phones, as I continue to try to make the 3-pocket laptop happen.
Finally, come with me on a flight to Long Beach, California for the Augmented World Expo, courtesy of XREAL, so I can take a look at something I missed at Google I/O.
The ocean liner turned hotel. RMS Queen Mary. Hell yeah.
Just kidding. While I did stay aboard the converted ocean liner for the 2 days I spent here at the show, I was actually in town to try the XREAL Aura. Now, yes, disclosure, the company did cover travel and lodging, but this segment is not otherwise sponsored, and that means XREAL has had no input into what I'm about to say, starting with why I've shied away from covering its products over the years. I just don't think they look very good. In my view, if your display technology requires your glasses to sit this far from your eyes, that's fine. There are plenty of positives to this approach. But then don't design them to resemble sunglasses, because they're never going to look quite right. But do something else. I mean, maybe not something as else as the new Snap specs, but, well, then again, I don't know. Maybe this actually is better since it's self-contained. Looking past the looks, XREAL does have a strategic advantage in that it's not trying to compete with smart glasses like the Even Realities or the Meta Ray-Bans. Instead, the Aura is putting itself up against VR headsets like Apple Vision Pro and MetaQuest. Through that lens, there's no question the Aura is more portable, even taking into account its big tethered battery pack. It's surprisingly good at isolation too, thanks to electrochromic dimming that lets you control how opaque the lenses get. And the 70-degree picture you get is beautiful. About the only annoyance I faced was with using my fingers to manipulate virtual objects because I was fighting the muscle memory of Apple Vision Pro, which lets you keep your hands around your lap if you want. For this headset, you need to be poking and prodding at the world much higher up. Most significant of all, and a big part of the reason I came to California, this was my first experience with the latest Android XR platform, and XREAL put me through the same demos it gave to most of the media here. The collaborative tabletop gaming I can take or leave, but the immersion I felt walking my own neighborhood virtually in Google Maps, or spreading my work across a huge virtual desktop, was impressive. I especially appreciated the ability to download almost anything in the Google Play Store, since this is effectively an Android phone for your eyes, right down to the Snapdragon Silicon in the Pocket Puck. My favorite demo was an app that let me select things in the real world to learn more about their chemical composition. Kind of like a wearable tricorder with a built-in Mr. DNA. The XREAL Aura represents a small slice of the future of AR that I frankly won't get too excited about until we can ditch the tethered brick and get these lenses closer to where they belong. Like the Snap Specs, they're almost a physical embodiment of the reality that we're not quite there yet. But trying them out still left me excited in the same way I was during the nascent smartphone era of the mid-aughts. Because not only are specialty tools still important to the small customer bases who buy them, but the groundwork they lay in terms of ecosystem and technology development will be invaluable to everyone in augmented reality when the hardware finally catches up to the vision.
This episode of the Gadget Grab Bag was produced with a mix of retail products purchased by Mr. Mobile and review samples on loan from or on display by their respective manufacturers. Disclosure, XREAL provided travel and lodging so I could attend one day of the Augmented World Expo for that demo. But none of the subjects of my coverage sponsored this video. Nobody was given copy approval rights, or in fact any editorial input or preview of this coverage. There are 2 more episodes in this series so far. Check them out on the channel and subscribe to Mr. Mobile so you don't miss the next review coming soon. Until next time, from Michael Fisher, Captain Two Phones on the feeds, thanks for watching. And stay mobile, my friends.